Coming to you live from the honeycomb hideout, it's the 10 Point Podcast. We were going to go with Care Bears, but that was already taken. My name is Bruce, and the other two members of my Trinity are here with me today too. First, unlike typical vampires, his fangs are located in his vagina. It's Chris.
Thank you for that.
Hey.
And also with us, he dates a lot of older men. It's Andy.
I was getting something better than that.
Ryan Reynolds said it, and we all know your love for Ryan Reynolds is
true.
above all else. So I thought I'd go with
Majestic.
that. We are the 10 Point Podcast, not the Care Bears, as I said. You can find us wherever you find your podcasts. We are 10 Point Podcast. Whether it be Apple Music, Amazon Podcasts, you can get us through your Alexa, your device in the corner. You can say play 10 Point Podcast and you'll get us. We're on Spotify as well. We're on anywhere you get podcasts, you can find us. And we are now on YouTube, as our
Hopefully.
YouTube viewers and listeners can
Hopefully
tell.
they'll
We are on
Look at
YouTube.
us.
All technical problems aside, hopefully everything is going ahead. The Pointies was our debut on YouTube, and that went very well, I think. And
I think so.
it's out there, and you know how crazy we are.
Like
when,
and subscribe.
And yes, like and subscribe and all that. And please, any comments below the line, I believe is what you say when it comes to YouTube. If you comment below the line, and you can also see kind of that we don't normally dress as smart as we did on the Pointies. We're usually a bit more
We
casual
seem
here.
like 40-year-old podcasters that have no idea what they're doing, and we're totally going to get outviewed by like
Who
a
try and look
10-year-old
cool with
smart
backwards
kid.
caps.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You're going through the midlife crisis right now, Chris. That's what you're
I
doing.
thought he was bringing the youth element here.
He's bringing the youth.
But enough about the visual gags, because as Andy often says, we don't want to do visual
We
gags.
don't do visual gags here.
We're a podcast too, so the words and what we say is what matters. And we want to hear from you as well. We want to know what matters to you. So contact us on Facebook. We're 10 Point Podcast, all letters, no numbers, and we're also 10 Point Podcast on Twitter too. We have never had an Instagram because we're a podcast. I was once threatened that we were going to have an Instagram. Do we have an Instagram, Andy? You're a
No,
social media guy.
We currently don't have an Instagram.
So we do not have an Instagram because we are a podcast. Why would a podcast have an Instagram? Get in touch with us. And all of your 10 Point Podcast goodness, you can find it at 10pointpodcast.com, where reviews and articles and such are going up all the time. And there's going to be a lot of breakdowns of the Pointies. And I believe in the works is a breakdown of how we see the Blade Trinity, the Blade trilogy, as it were. All three Blade movies are going to be up there in one fashion or another in a special put together article, I think. Keep an eye out for that. But that's where we are and what we do. But before we get into what we're here for this week, normally we start with what have the guys been watching. So, Chris, what have you been watching in the past week, or
Wait.
since we finished season 3? Oh,
I can answer this one.
all right.
I've not watched any films.
Classic Chris.
Well, that's not true. I've watched a few films, but the one film that I've actually never seen before was, as our diehard TPP listeners who suffered with us during our badly timed news segment, it would have been a hit if it wasn't for bad timing.
What would film
They'll
didn't come
remember a
out?
running gag that me wanting the Italian version of Pinocchio to do really well in the cinema. And so Bruce and Jade were kind enough to get me it for Christmas.
I was fun for all the family, I hoped.
Well, I don't know. Like, I watched it, and I would definitely watch it before you let kids watch it, because it's quite dark and quite scary in places. It's
How
like,
can
I won't
Pinocchio
spoil
be
all of
dark?
it. Well, in one scene, he's hanging from a tree, like he's been hung. So
Nice.
he's just all he
That's
sees
dark
his
as it
legs
gets.
just swinging side to side. It's
That
quite,
escalated quickly.
grim. It does. But I mean, I've got to say, if you can get past the Italian dubbed accents, and
Nope.
it's surprisingly good. I didn't think you would enjoy it. And like, the effects and the costumes are really well done. One criticism is he looks too human when he's a puppet.
Right.
But,
Okay.
it's worth a watch. It's all right.
For a gag, it's not too bad. It's a reasonably happy ending then that you actually quite
Yeah.
liked it.
I might wait until let the kids watch it. Give them nightmares.
Good idea. Andy, what have you been watching in the last?
Pretty much
week, or
nothing,
even
because-
in the last couple of months.
Because nothing's came out, so literally it's been shit. I'm gagging on films to come back out, and it's like, oh look, something's going to come out, and then nope, it's getting pushed back again thanks to the fucking COVID. So I don't know. I think the only kind of highlight I watched was the what do you call it, Falcon prequel before he's Captain America. I watched that, the new Netflix film On the Wire, or Out in the Wire, or something like that, starring Anthony Mackie, which is basically, like I said, it's just the Falcon prequel. It's before he gets his nice flying backpack and stuff like that, really, is what he's done there. It's not horrendous, but none of these films are really that great. They're not a blockbuster, they're not a big cinema screen thing, so I don't know. I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole of just watching Ghost Adventures on Discovery Plus at the moment, so that's where my life's at the moment.
You're already looking forward to the spooky spectacular for 2021.
Exactly.
I imagine.
Big plans for that. Got big plans.
In terms of me, I've watched a lot since we last did a podcast. I'm not going to go through all of my recent watches. I watched the first 3 Rocky films, which I think I'd only ever seen the first one. But the third one, the one that's got Mr. T in it, that's my favourite one so far. I think that's the first 2 films are just the same. Just a spoiler alert, with a different outcome at the end of the big match. But the third one, I like that way better. So far, the third one is leading in the top 10 Rocky movies, but I've only watched the first 3. But 2 films I've watched that were we've probably mentioned in the last wee while in terms of the best of last year. Now, the best, one of the top 10 whatever films we did last year, Bad Boys for Life, both the guys said they liked that a lot. I watched that and I thought, it's fine. It's not any better than Bad Boys 2, or it's probably worse. Probably the worst of the 3, I think. But I wasn't as offended by the twist ending or the change towards the end. The other 2 were. I don't know.
Just stop watching it at the end. Save yourself.
Yeah.
But I thought it was alright. I thought some of the best action was at the end. But I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. But no better than the other 2, so just stick with the other ones. But what I did watch that I think's better than I think it's got any credit for is I watched The Hunt, which came out, I think, early last year.
Aye.
I know Andy watched it early last year. Very much my sort of thing. Very much recommend it. And I think Chris would like it. I don't know if Chris actually saw it or knew much about it. But last year, have a look for The Hunt, Chris. It's kind of a, I don't know how you describe it.
It's got Dennis in it from Sunny in Philadelphia.
Dennis from Always Sunny in it, yeah. It's kind of like a Saw sort of feel
Saw
to
slash
it,
Purge slash Hunger Games.
Yeah, very Purge. Yeah,
Alright.
very much the Purge. But if I say any more about it, it starts to spoil it. So just go into it kind of not knowing what's happening. But The Hunt, that gets a big thumbs up from me. And I don't know how many years down the line it might end up on the podcast. But that's what I watched. I'll put our opinions in there, so we better get on with the show. And the point of the 10-point podcast this week, which brings us on to what is now point number 1 on the 10-point podcast rundown, is what is the point? We're here today for the 2004 action, adventure, fantasy, horror, sci-fi film, Blade Trinity. We love the Blade franchise on this podcast. If you've been following us for a long time. That's from New Line Cinema, Marvel, Amun-Ra Films, and Imaginary Forces.
Amun-Ra,
yeah. Written and directed by David S. Goyer, who was the writer on the first 2 Blade films, Blade and Blade 2. But also wrote Dark Knight Trilogy, Batman v Superman, and Terminator Dark Fate. But he's also responsible, he is also the writer of all of in the last 6 months.
the game that's been helping us survive lockdown.
Well, exactly how we've managed to not completely snap over the last year. So yeah, he's the writer of them. He's only ever he was the director of the film as well, but he's only ever directed 4 films. He's very much a writer and a director. But Blade Trinity is the absolute standout of the films he directed. Horror film. I can't remember who stars in it now, but it was the second kind of standout film that he directed. Blade Trinity starring Wesley Snipes. We've covered him a lot on the podcast, as we've done 2 episodes out of the same. So I've just put next to him in the note, several-time Pointy Award nominee with 1 win for best fight for the Blood Rave fight from season 1 of the podcast. That's how we know Wesley Snipes in our hearts. Is he was in the Blood Rave, but also in Blade Trinity we have Ryan Reynolds, famous for such things as Van Wilder, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Green Lantern, The Change-Up, a famous role in Ted, in my eyes, Deadpool, and Detective Pikachu. That's Ryan Reynolds to me. I don't know if that's Ryan Reynolds to everybody else. What's missing? Yeah, he plays himself, I think, in Ted.
Yeah.
But it stuck with me. I'll put it that way.
2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place. That's where he's always been for me.
Yeah.
Love that show.
Just Friends. Watch that. It was brilliant. That's
Well,
That's one of my top 5 comedies.
But there we go. So Ryan Reynolds, that's his back catalogue. And I put as a third star, I put Jessica Biel because she's the third one of the Trinity, and I would say she's well represented in what's going on the video version of this podcast. She is famous for, outside of Blade Trinity, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Stealth, The Illusionist, Next, I Now Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry, and Total Recall, the remake that they had about, I don't know, 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
That's the Jessica Biel famous roles to me, but they're not exactly the
Yeah.
most famous roles. I don't think anything really else stands out. She's done a bit TV bits here and there, but yeah, that's where her standouts come for me. Blade Trinity, though, made on a budget of $65 million, opened in the US for $16 million on its first weekend. Its final US gross was $52 million, and worldwide $132 million worldwide. So it made more overseas than in the US and doubled its budget. Quite a bit of money made. Released 8th of December 2004. It only ever received one award nomination ever. It got one nomination, and that was for Best Horror Film at the Saturn Awards. But that year it happened to be in the same category as Shaun of the Dead, so therefore lost, because Shaun of the Dead is a great film.
It's an actual horror film.
And is a horror film. Yes, exactly. Although there are some elements of Blade Trinity that I found that were very horror-y. We have covered the year 2005 before, so Best Picture at the Oscars was Million Dollar Baby.
Right.
MTV Best Movie
Oh, God.
was Episode 3 of this podcast, Napoleon Dynamite, was Best Movie at the MTV Movie Awards. Check out Season 1, Episode 3 for that. And the Razzies Worst Picture, Catwoman, the Halle Berry one. So that's the year, the era that Blade Trinity was in. And on to what this film is about. An old favourite of the podcast, our man Nick, has once again written a synopsis for us.
Here we go. What's the
this
film
is-
about?
This is Blade Trinity for you. Let me have a quick drink of water.
I really hope it's the same Nick it turns up every time.
I hope it is. I really do hope it is. Anyway, for the first time in his blood-soaked vampire-slaying mission, the dauntless vampire-human hybrid, who possesses the best of both worlds, Blade, finds himself truly cornered after eradicating the unstoppable menace known as the Reapers in Blade 2. This time, the supreme vampire assassin faces the embodiment of terror in the person of the perfect monster and humankind's arch enemy, the resurrected Count Dracula, or Drake. not the rapper singer dude. Now, with his already shady reputation tainted by malicious defamation, Blade enlists the help of a young team of vampire hunters, the Night Stalkers, who have concocted an audacious plan to rid the Earth of the parasitic bloodsuckers. However, can the Daywalker and his new human allies stop the King of Vampires? There we go.
Yes.
Did this guy write it with a thesaurus or something?
I think so, yeah.
There's too many big words in there for me.
Before we get on to point number 2, I'll just confirm that I watched the unrated version on Amazon Prime.
So did I.
I watched it on Netflix.
You watched
Ah,
that?
here we
That's
go.
good then. You maybe compare and contrast what we did and didn't see. And Andy, you picked it and you watched it on Amazon as well. So tell us why you picked it, and then when you're ready, we'll move on to the next point.
Well, it's fairly logical why I picked it, because we've not done a Ryan Reynolds film. So,
Yes.
That's
so
why.
it's so obvious, isn't it? Like, how did we get two seasons without Ryan Reynolds? So, it was only logical to pick Blade Trinity. That's purely the reason.
Yeah.
No.
And coincidentally, we did a Blade movie first in season 1 and Blade
Ah,
movie
yeah.
first in season 2.
I
Just
forgot about
happened
that.
that way.
It's just
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. That's where I wanted to be at, to be fair. So,
And one of the reasons for this podcast is my education in film. So I again hadn't seen this Blade film, so I'm going into it with I haven't seen it before. Chris, I believe you had seen it before, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
So Chris
oh
had seen it.
yes.
On
Oh,
to
yes.
point
Oh,
number
yes.
2 on the podcast. Point number 2 is the high points. What we thought were the best bits and best things, I'm assuming, about the film. Typically, we go to whoever picked it. So Andy, high points. What do you see were the best
Right.
bits and the most important bits, I guess, of Blade?
Normally, with like the old format, I would talk about the opening. So actually, my first high point is that's how you start a film. Just Ryan Reynolds talking. Like first person talking, Ryan Reynolds, amazing. That's all you need. That's how you start a film.
It
Did you not
came out-
find it annoying when they stopped every time when Blade started kicking ass? They stopped it every couple of seconds to do like a slow motion Blade Trinity, Wesley Snipes, Ryan Reynolds thing.
Nah,
No, I didn't mind. I
No.
didn't mind
it
that.
worked.
What annoyed me was Ryan Reynolds doing the opening monologue and then not being in it for 40 minutes.
Yes, just his voice is enough. That's all you need. A little bit of Ryan in there, and then second person to talk, Triple H, out of nowhere. So it's a strong start. It's a strong start.
Strong start. like we've mentioned, I think on the last episode on Blade in season 2, that Wesley Snipes didn't have the most fun times on this film. I might just be assuming here, Andy or someone else might tell me otherwise, that I kind of get the feeling that maybe Blade was meant to do an opening monologue and just said, nah, I can't be arsed.
I kind of feel like it should have been, yeah. I feel like that's why Ryan Reynolds was put in this film, to be fair, is just because when Wesley Snipes doesn't want to act, they need somebody else to overact, so they'll go Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, this was like notorious for him not wanting to act. All he wanted to do was sit in his trailer and get stoned.
Yeah, he wanted to get stoned.
And there's a lot of stand-ins.
And then, yeah, he basically, anytime he wanted to change anything in the film, he would write a post-it note and then just give it to somebody to go and give to the director. So, yeah, the director did not know when he was going to get Wesley Snipes and when he wouldn't, and you could really tell that in this film. But, yeah, opening's a high point. That's my first high point.
Being the writer who directed it, I wonder if there was a director who pulled out, and then and that's maybe why Wesley Snipes was like, "I'm going to do what I like because we don't have this big, powerful director doing this." Because the fact that David S. Goyer wrote it and then ended up directing it out of the blue, since he hadn't really directed an awful lot, I wonder if there was issues from the get-go with that sort of thing.
Who knows?
Maybe Snipes is just pulling the strings behind it. They'll use this little puppet for me.
Yeah, maybe.
But one of my other high points is like just how much like action you can actually fit into like a film in general. Like every scene is actually like different. Like so you have a kind of not as good as Blade 2 opening with the action and fight and stuff like that. But like every kind of action piece is a kind of very different and unique piece. With some dodgy Triple H acting in between. Yeah, but still.
What are you talking about? The man's a star. It's better than The Rock.
I was always, whenever he started speaking or doing anything, I was drawn to watch him and be like, what is he up to here? Like I did like.
I don't know.
There was a bit of a kind of comedy figure.
There was a few cringeworthy bits when he's doing the old breakout. When Blade's getting broken out and he's kind of shooting and stuff like that. There's a few dodgy bits there, but that's a great scene. And one of my high points is just Ryan Reynolds' actual entrance, because you talked about how he's not in it for 45 minutes. But when the man makes an entrance, he makes an entrance. Like, that's definitely going to get nominated later on for Best Entrance, but...
He definitely elevates the film when he's in it.
Straight away, because it's around about that point where it's starting to get like, oh my god, like, you've just killed off Chris Christopherson, spoiler alert. It's like, what are you going to do? I know. Let's get Ryan Reynolds jumping through a plain glass, a two-way mirror, and then just writing "fuck you" on his little shirt, which I always thought was funny. But then when Blade brings it up later on, it's even funnier. It's like,
it's actually a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got Hannibal saving Blade as one of my first high points as well. Like I've got
that kind of scene, but for a different reason. It's like right just before sorry, you go, Bruce.
I've got you carry on, Chris, because I'll be the first to drag it into the gutter when it comes back to me. But carry on.
It's the gutter, right? It's like whispering in his ear, going, "You get sexually aroused by blood," and then not 5 minutes later, he stands up with a full-on serum boner.
Oh yeah, that boner.
I was like, was that what was supposed to be going on? I've just got did Blade have a massive erection when Ryan Reynolds
it was right in the middle of the screen. You just stood up and you're like, "That's a fucking boner."
I noticed that too. It's huge. Like what the hell?
Let's think. Was it? I was like, it's it. I didn't. This carry on. I was like, all right, maybe I'm crazy, but I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, no,
so weird.
I just thought it was funny because he's like, "Do you find blood sexual arousing?" And he tries to bite somebody, and then he stands up with a boner. So he's like, "Yeah, you do find it sexual arousing."
Clearly, yeah.
But like even that's like that scene when Blade is like basically Wesley Snipes doing some of his best acting by not actually doing anything, when everybody's acting around Wesley Snipes in a chair. It's like even what do you call her, Parker Posey? I can't actually remember her actual name and the character name. Like just her going up and doing her weird talking to Blade and then actually no, that was stupid, and then trying to say like her line again. It's just like, yeah, Blade doesn't give a fuck anymore, does he?
But I do have I've got it in my high points, but we're not necessarily going to hit on this too much in the high points. But Wesley Snipes is somehow, me knowing he doesn't give a damn, he's somehow better, I think, in this film than he was in the previous two Blades, because I think he just doesn't care. He's just going to do what he's just going to be Wesley Snipes, and somehow that works so much better for him in this film. I felt far more, I was like, yeah, you are a badass, and yes, I do want you to be my hero in this film. It was so strange.
One of my other main high points in this one is actually the bad guys being bad. Like, it's like even when you compare it to other Blades, so Blade 2 didn't really have that bad a guy, really. It was just they wanted to make vampires, and the bad guy you thought was bad actually turns
He was
good.
kind of like an anti-hero, the bad guy.
Yeah.
He wanted to kill vampires.
And then in the first
sad.
one, you obviously had Deacon Frost, who is a pretty good bad guy, but he's still a kind of little whiny bitch, and he's not the higher up. Whereas this is fucking Dracula. Like, you don't get much bigger than that as a big bad. And
he's the biggest bad possible, yeah.
And even like Dracula doesn't act like, when I'm watching this film, it's like he actually seems like quite a nice guy. He's like, actually, my kids are a bit of a bell end, but like the kind of the Triple H like kind of posse, they all seem like genuine bad guys. But like I don't know where they stand in the Blade pecking order, like because obviously Deacon Frost was up there with the hierarchy. These guys just seem like they came out of nowhere, and they're just going to be like bad for being bad's sake. So I actually quite like the bad guys.
Kind of pussies because they had to find Dracula to help them.
Yeah, no, but like
he tried to do it himself.
Yeah, no, but that's a bad guy. Like actually, I know. Let's go and get Dracula. He's our dad. Let's get him in. At no stage did I think actually they're a bit of a pussy. Like I just thought, they're bad.
Parker Posey is really kind of campy at times with her badness. Like she's just so. I'm just like, oh, I'm so bad.
Yeah.
Like she just wants to be evil, so she kind of plays evil. You know,
Yeah.
so like that her character plays evil more than she actually. And like they seem a little bit out of their depth. Like they are, oh, we could go get Dracula, and then they're like, oh, we went and got Dracula, and it's like, who's going to tell him we made an arse of it at one point? And it's like, yeah, I already know you made an arse of it. Somebody came out of it, he was like, well, I already know. So it's like, yeah, I quite enjoyed the fact that we're all bad guys, but we're not actually that good. Like not that able, I should say.
And like her brother seems like the smart one. He doesn't get much screen time at all, but he seems like actually he's the one that does the paperwork, the vampire committee. And she's just she's like a loose cannon with stupid ideas, and then you got Triple H as just the bodyguard.
Yeah, he's awful. Yeah,
but still bad.
With the little Pomeranian dog.
Those dogs, terrifying. I quite like the little crossover that it was the kind of vampire serum from Blade 2 they put it into the dogs. That was pretty cool. So an added little bonus point there. I quite like that. And overall, the Night Stalkers, I would say they're definitely in the high points. Obvious name again, because you obviously had the Blood Pack and 2, and then the Night Stalkers. Because obviously,
I didn't go down the obvious route with that. I thought because they said that we've he even set it up. We've got a name, sort of thing, and then like then he says it, and I'm like, it's not too cringeworthy. I'll let that one slide.
But yeah, that whole team is just like actually every one of them had a kind of purpose. They might not necessarily last all that long, but you've got your James Bond vibe with what do you call him, Thingy Oswald, who's just like.
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, just like I'm going to make some things, but then even the blind woman, like I didn't understand her and how she can look at DNA coding by braille and stuff like that.
Screen?
But
that's totally
amazing
as well. How did she have it what's on her screen? Yeah,
yeah, it's like
I find Patton Oswalt funny, where he's like, "Gentlemen, hottie."
Yeah.
A very poor thing to say. Yeah,
but he did have sex with many women, many times. It's a good line.
I do like Patton Oswalt. He's funny.
So anybody else got any other high points before I steal them all?
I'm going to drag it to the gutter again. Jessica Biel naked in the shower. I mean, I say more.
Straight away.
Straight away. Do you know what? This is probably a weird one, but when they first opened the blood farming shed, like the sheer size and the amount of people that harvested, it's kind of like holy shit, they've got their act together.
Yeah, it didn't really look CGI'd either. It looks like they actually just vacuum packed a bunch of people for no reason.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
It was like, it's sort of different because a lot of the past movies we've put the high points as like fighting scenes and action scenes. This one is like just, I don't know, like a quite depressive thing. Like, oh my god, it actually like destroy everybody.
The vampires actually had an end game. Vacuum packed food, ready meals.
My other last one is pretty much the entire time that Hannibal's been captured, like from everything Ryan Reynolds says to the vampire dogs, and
he's away with words, that man. He has a way with words.
I'll come up again later on, but it was brilliant.
The scenes with all three of the kind of the middle baddies interrogating Hannibal, for lack of better terms, are all really, really good, with all of them having a different approach. And then at one point with Danica just like beating him up, essentially running over and kind of kicking him in the balls while he's down on the ground. That's one of my high points, is like say him being tied up and the three of them. And so I thought that's for some of Triple H's best stuff, was that bit as well.
Yeah.
He was getting in his face and all
And
that.
I just love the
And
delay as well, when he's like, right about now. And then nothing happens. Classic. You know it was coming, but still, like Ryan Reynolds plays it perfectly in that bit.
Yeah.
That was my last one. So you're free to go, Bruce.
The only other note I've got is the Dr. Vance, like you said earlier on, speaking of these here, John Michael Higgins, who he's one of them people that shows up in things, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's him. He's in everything, and he's always really good in it. So yeah.
I'll tell you what, he can pull the open shirt and the chain look very well, can't he? When he's standing there. Really confused. Every single time that confuses me, I'm like, oh, it's Dracula. Every time.
His face just looked weird. He like had the Dracula's eyes. He just looked like he was, I don't know, stoned or something. He was kind of like, his face just didn't look right. It didn't look like him.
And one more note I have. One more bit I very much enjoy. For some reason, I really liked the vampire shop. I just enjoyed the fact that there was a shop that sold nothing but vampire stuff, whether it be like Count Chocula or like farting dolls. Just everything was vampire themed in there. And then I liked the music as well, because it was from that scene particularly. Because it's an old podcast favourite. The guy from the WPS was the guy who did the rapping on it, the RZA, who actually produced the whole Blade soundtrack for this film. I did a bit of research. Crossed over with a Velvet Underground song, and I really liked the mixture of the music in that scene. And then obviously we see Dracula being pissed off at what his kind have been dragged down to in the monetization of his kind. So I
do like the fact
scene.
they killed the shop guy, because he was a dick. He deserved to die.
Yeah, he was. And it was just before that scene when I guess Dracula was walking the land. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Vancouver. I did some research, and yeah, they filmed this in Vancouver. And I was like, I was there like 5 years after they filmed this. So I was like, oh yeah, I was there. There's a clip of a couple of buildings, and I was like,
everything's in Vancouver.
I did a bit quickly. And there we go. So yeah, in Vancouver, they filmed
it. I'm going to add one quick more high point in, because I think it might hit some of your low points, but I'm going to add it as a high point. The end battle, and normally these are shit in Blades, because the first one was shit because of the one blood splat down, and then the over the top CGI that just did not work. Whereas I think for Blade Trinity, this is my opinion, it works. Like when Dracula turns into a big evil Dracula, there's some dodgy special effects, but then they just go full on practical. So I think they very much learned from their mistake that they can't do CGI, and it was weird, but scary.
My only note I have on Dracula when he's in that look is, I now know where Lordi, that band that won the Eurovision Song Contest, at that point getting their look from. I was like, it looks like he's the fifth member or whatever of Lordi is. Like, perfect. But yeah, I definitely admit with you that this is the best final battle of all the Blade films. Definitely.
So that sneaks into my high point, like I said, just to kind of end it.
I think I would put it in my high points too, especially because it was both him and is it Abby?
Yeah,
Abigail, whatever her name is. Both breaking in and doing separate fights, and then bursting everyone into all the vampires into flames, whatever it is. And then there were some good stunts. There was one guy who tried to jump on Blade, and Blade managed to kind of stake him while he was upside down and all that. There was a couple of them that I thought were really, they made me kind of react when they killed them off. But yeah, I have to admit that them entering the baddies kind of, I don't know, penthouse has to be up there for me. That's all the high points.
Yeah, that's the highs.
Not too bad. Better go on with the low points then. I don't know who we should normally go first. I feel like Chris hasn't spoken in a while. So Chris, how about you lead us off with the low points, and we'll riff off of you.
Controversially, I'm going to put Dracula and Drake for me. He seemed pathetic. He was supposed to be like the big bad guy, and at one point he was a glorified babysitter, just looking after the kid.
I quite liked it.
He went through that to like the biggest and baddest vampire. I can't even was talking to her like, "Wouldn't you want to be immortal?" and stuff like that. But that was fucking, I don't know, one of the girls' jobs. That was one of their.
Fucking hell. Here we go, sexist much.
A bunch of table with the girls and stuff like that, and they didn't see none of the men, so that's why.
I don't know. I thought it humanized him and it made him actually a bit eviler, because he decides actually, no, I'm going to go and be a dick right now when I want to. He's got everything under control. He's not. Nothing's above him or below him. He's just like, Even when he says he goes into the vampire shop, it's like, these guys are pathetic. Why am I helping? He's like, you can see, he's like, do I want to help them, or I'm going to help myself? And like, that guy just wanted to sleep. Just having a wee nap.
I've got like one question. It's not like a low point, but how did he get Whistler's likeness? Because Whistler died long before Dracula was there.
Yeah, because he would have seen a picture. That's all he needs.
Is that
I thought
powerful?
he had like
Yeah.
like a Terminator thing. You had to touch them before.
I don't think it's touch. I'm pretty sure he could just manipulate his bones into whatever he wants to do. See a picture. I'm gonna be that. Any other low
carry on?
points?
You just want to take it in turns? For
No,
low
you
points?
go. You go.
Okay, I'm going to put this as well as being my high point. I'm going to put the Jessica Biel shower scene because it's fairly obvious the director just went, "We've got a hot girl. Do you know what? Let's put her naked in the shower. Why not?"
As I was watching it,
Because it was unnecessarily needed, that scene.
Jay looks at the screen and just goes, "Ah, yeah, of course, the crucial female nude shower scene," and then just carried on doing what she was doing. So yeah, since you've mentioned it, I'll bring it up now. I think we've eliminated the counting of feet from the podcast. I think the feet
Yes.
thing peaked.
It's
So of
gone.
course we get the feetiest feet we've ever had in a film, where half of the shower scene was looking at her toes in the water and all this sort of stuff. I just thought I have to mention it because it's typical of our podcast. Once we give up on a joke, the next episode is like, "Oh, here's our feet. There's our feet again. Here's some more of our feet in the shower." So, oh, for goodness sake. So yeah, since you mentioned it.
What's my last one? Do you know what? It's going to be again controversial. The soundtrack compared to the previous two Blades, the soundtrack this was disappointing.
I'm literally that's when I'm going to jump in. The soundtrack was awful. That was definitely a low point of mine as well.
One song I liked was "Weapons of Mad Distortion" by Crystal Method, and that was the fight, I think.
You
between
always
him
talk
and
to
Drake.
Crystal Method. I think that you're a big
I
fan
am,
of
good.
theirs.
He loves
I like the one song where he was in the vampire shop and him walking the earth. But that's
Oh,
mainly
yeah.
because of the song that was kind of remixed with it. But yeah, the rest of the soundtrack not that great. But apparently, lots of the Wu-Tang Clan were on it. Various people who were Wu-Tang Clan related. And in my searching to find out what song it was, I liked. It was the worst selling of the three Blades.
Definitely.
It didn't sell as much. It didn't sell as much as the others.
But yeah, even just in the fight scenes and that, when the music was playing, the fight scenes were probably one of the better ones out of the whole series. But the music did not
Yeah.
back it up at all.
Very generic, I thought.
Yeah.
A lot of it. I'll go with my low points next. I've got a few to hit on. Killing off Whistler again. When he came back, I was like, "No, you're not trying to fool me. Like, you fooled me once, and he wasn't dead. He's definitely dead this time." And Ryan Reynolds goes, "You're dead." I was like, "Yes, he is dead." You like that? So killing him off again, but then just to replace him with his own daughter. Like I thought, just keep Whistler. He could be the third member of the trilogy here. Sorry, the Trinity there. A small thing. Triple H is running. Just made me laugh. Like he's so unnatural, but then the payoff of him getting that little shot in the eyeball was worth it. I thought that was good. 'Cause I thought he was dead at that point. I was like, "Have they just killed off Triple H?" And then the next scene he's like plucking it out of his eye. I thought, okay, he's not. Thank God.
What's with his silver teeth? It
Dunno.
just confused me. Just because it was silver, I thought silver was supposed to harm vampires.
Maybe
Was
it's
it
just
definitely
hard.
silver?
Well,
Oh,
I'm assuming it was silver.
Could be
I'd like
platinum.
something like
Platinum
bandit.
doesn't hurt vampires.
Yeah, something that vampires can
Adamantium.
use. Yeah, adamantium.
Just thought it was
Yeah, very good. A long-running complaint that I have about the Blade movies. Hannibal was a vampire, just got cured of being a vampire.
Aye.
Is that a thing? That seems to be a thing because that happened with Whistler as well. Yeah,
Yep.
he was a vampire, just getting cured. So it does mean that everyone who is a vampire kind of wants to be a vampire, I guess, which helps that. Abigail shoving that thing into Hannibal's open wound was unnecessary. I did not like that.
Expanding foam.
Maybe just about bulk. But that, the two FBI agents who I thought were going to be important, who were terrible
Yes.
and were bad on every level, and then disappeared, and then came back for the very last scene. They were rubbish. I have a big question I'll get to in a minute. I totally missed the point of the ending at first. I was like, why is Blade just lying there? And then the rest of the team go up to see him. And then the next scene, it's the useless FBI agents, and they've gone, and Blade's still lying there. And I'm like, but he didn't die. And the next scene comes around, and Blade's not dead. And I'm like, well, of course he's not dead. So I missed entirely. And then they start talking and saying, "Oh, because he was half human, it didn't kill him." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that." So I think I don't know if it was the unrated version or something with the editing and made me completely miss the point at the end.
Did
Well,
you
a
not
big
see
question-
him getting operated on? Dracula.
Dracula getting operated on.
Yeah, he there's a scene where the FBI agents come in and they take him onto like a table and they go to do an autopsy, and as soon as he's put a knife on him, he transforms back into Dracula. And then there's a voiceover saying, "Oh, this is Dracula's gift to Blade."
Yeah.
So now they're not hunting for him.
It's not in the version you watched, Bruce, but it is on the other version.
Right, well that's why it confused me then.
Yes.
They just Blade at the end. Am I crazy?
No.
It was just Blade at the end.
Yeah, no, it was Dracula basically helped Blade because well, obviously he said, "This is my gift to you," and then
Yeah.
that's what his gift was. He cuts some, and his Blade's actually gone, and the FBI, the unrated version doesn't have that at all.
Netflix.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah,
well, there you go. So maybe I did
watch the
something.
end on Netflix because don't watch the unrated
I'm
version.
going to do that now. Yeah, definitely. And then my last thing I have is just my lingering question I had. When did Summerfield, the blind girl with the glasses?
Yeah.
When did she record her video? The whole if you see this, I am now dead. Because at what point did she think someone's definitely going to come and kill me now? Because it seemed to be when they broke into the building, it was a surprise. Like no one was expecting the bad guys to come. So at some point, because as soon as she thought something was up, she told her daughter to go hide, and she went to find out what was happening. But she didn't stop and set up a camera. Also, how did she set up a camera when she's blind? But yeah, I couldn't work out how and when she recorded her video, and obviously she helped them get the thing out in the end. But I don't know, that annoyed me. It's like
Must be when as soon as they have found out that Dracula's coming back, you know what? I might die here. I'm just gonna make a wee video.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Always,
Yeah,
it's like us. We've always got our cameras running just in case we have a podcast thought, and we can just go right now.
we could record it. Yeah.
The feds are coming
yeah.
down my door because I've tried to stab my kids at any time.
That's my low point on my last complaint, I should say. So
My like other than the stuff that you guys said, my actual one that's different is the chase scene in Blade's car actually annoys me because
Right at the start.
so he gets the car at the back of the thing, all pretty cool shots and everything like that, and it basically everything's set up for a cool shot. But then he uses the most useful thing on his car at the very end, which is a UV light to burn the car. But instead, he gets his window shot. He's getting shot at multiple times, which is not that bulletproof, and he's just kind of dodging bullets.
yeah.
Then decides, after about chasing them for about 3 or 4 miles, to turn on the UV lights to fry the driver. It's like, you should have done that
You know how
first.
much that would have drained his battery? Would just stop rolling at one point.
It would have took out the 4 vampires in the fucking car. But yeah, that one scene annoyed me, and the kind of like the setup for the whole the human, because what was that human getting out of the deal like? And
Well, the one that got shot.
Yeah, the one they got shot and by Blade, and like, how did they know that Blade was going to crash that car right there, and she was perfectly perched on top of a skyscraper near that road? There's a lot of questions in that one scene.
Every time I see it, I'm always like, how did you know?
Yeah, it's almost too perfect, and it's like, I know it was all planned by them, but Blade took that car down himself.
That needs to be best plan. We don't often do good plans. So
Yeah.
that was a plan executed to perfection.
Exactly. By accident as well. It's just like they lucked out. It's like, fuck me, I was standing, less like she was standing there, her brother was further down, Triple H was further down.
yeah, they've all got a camera running. Yeah,
They've all got a
exactly.
camera, and it just happened to be her shot. So maybe I could talk myself out of it. But yeah, that was my low point of the film.
I like it. Okay then, we'd better move on. I think that's the high points and low points. We know what the best and worst was. On to what's now point number 4. I hope Andy's ready with the new catchphrase jingle we have for our stats section.
I thought I heard a shit.
You did, in fact, hear a shit, Chris. You heard 9 shits in this. There were 9 shits, plus another 41 other swears in Blade, gives us a grand total of 50 swears in Blade. 28 explosions only. It was explosion heavy at the beginning and explosion light towards the end, because a vampire exploding is not a vampire going into dust is not an explosion.
It does, but we'll carry on.
Listen back to the Blade 2 episode to hear Andy tie himself in a knot trying to explain that an implosion is an explosion, if you want to hear that again. So only 20 explosions, but the deaths, that's where the vampire deaths count. There were 69 deaths, including the obligatory 3 animal deaths, 3 dogs. They all fell off the side of the building. Or 3 dogs, I'm guessing.
Would they have died though? Because they were vampires who just spawned and got back up.
That's a good point. I've counted them as deaths. So, including them,
Because
69.
they're technically already dead anyway if they're vampires.
But everybody who was in the vacuum pack factory thing, they all died as well, because they were all living when they walked in and they turned it off. Anyone have an idea how many people were in there?
I don't know, there was a lot of bodies in there.
That looked like a lot.
No idea. 12.
It was more than 12. It's fucking...
I mean, it's hundreds, surely. So I'm thinking, because there were like, I don't know, maybe 5 across by like 3 high twice. So I could a couple of hundred of them too. And then Blade at one point claimed that he had killed 1,182 people. That was humans, but they were all familiars. So that's where the deaths come into it. The one more bonus thing I counted was, with it being Blade Trinity, I thought I'd try and count Trinities, as in threes. Not the easy thing. I did count the number 3, I thought that'd be too hard. So I found 6 Trinities in the film. There were 3 guys on television quite early on in the film. 3 vampires at the start all attack Blade at once. He had to fight 3 off at the same time. The 3 main bad guys walked down a hallway as a Trinity. Ryan Reynolds gets a gun and shoots someone 3 times. The actual Blade, Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel trilogy is another one. And then they've got the triple-barreled shotgun as well, which was another Trinity.
Oh, yeah.
And then I struggled to spot anything. It was kind of pairs and groups after that. But they were my Trinities. Did they say the Thing in this film?
No.
Did they say Blade in this film?
It said Blade, yes.
Oh, yeah. I've got 20 Blades. Did they say Trinity in this film?
No.
No.
They did not say Trinity, so therefore they did not say Blade Trinity. And I've also remembered that with it being a new season, we have a new section in the stats. So I think, Andy, do you have our same stinger for the stats section again?
Well, this one.
I thought I heard a shit.
Yes, because I believe you've been listening out as well, haven't you, Andy?
Yeah, so you do the listening, I do the visual watching. So basically, I'm going to see if there was actually any physical shits taken in a film. It's an ongoing thing we're going to be doing.
And Andy's the lowest in the gutter, by the way, Chris, beneath the two of us.
However, there was no people going to the toilet. There was a shower scene, which was close to the toilet, but not an actual...
Literally, yes.
However, I do have a question about shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula, right, was in a tomb for X amount of years. Do vampires, 1, shit? And 2, if they do shit... How did he sleep in that coffin for so long? I know bears can hibernate, but after they wake up, they have like the almighty dump. Like, how long was he on the toilet when he got up? Like, it's just a genuine question.
What was it? They say a certain. If you say you spend X amount of years on the toilet in your life, you
Yeah.
have to multiply that by however many thousands of years he was there. And
Because,
we're definitely looking at years that he was
like,
on the
okay,
toilet.
vampires live on a liquid diet, but when he was eating, he was like doing some flesh in that as well. So I reckon he had a fairly hefty meal before he went to sleep for that long.
Must have done.
And that toilet was definitely ruined when he got out of there. So I'm just.
I'm going to take this as a hypothetical question.
Well, it seems like nobody wants to answer it, but still, there you go.
I don't want to answer that. I don't know.
Officially, I don't think they go to number 2 vampires. I think they have. I don't know, they
That was
don't
my
need
only. That was my only question because I didn't see anybody go to the toilet, so I just wanted to know if vampires poop.
I see.
Answer seems no.
Any other stats? Does anybody else?
I've got a fun fact. I've got a fun fact.
What fun fact on you?
I've got a fun fact actually about Blade. This is actually Blade's lowest kill count on vampires, only 42 kills. So it's his lowest in Blade, the Blade trilogy. And then an actual fun fact: do you know why vampires are scared of garlic or don't like garlic? It's because
No,
vampire bats are actually don't fly near garlic cloves.
Oh, okay.
So apparently that's how the myth of vampires don't like garlic, and garlic actually makes blood smell and taste. But yeah, apparently vampire bats for flying near garlic cloves, they doesn't happen. They don't like it. They fuck off.
Oh, okay.
So vampire fun fact for you and an actual fun fact.
Interesting.
There we go. Any stats from your end, Chris? Have you got anything on the statistics chart?
No, I forgot to look at different stats. There's no
Classic
screens
Chris.
or anything.
Classic.
Classic. That's it. New catchphrase for the new season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I counted the 2 feet. I knew no one else would because they'd given up on it.
Well, Andy
on
gave up.
to-
That was his idea.
It was his idea.
You were the fit
All
fetish
those
man.
saying that, if you listen to the pointies, Chris, it sounds like you're the one that likes the feet. But we've moved on from those days now.
We've
On
not gone
to
into the gutter
point
anymore.
number 5. It's the midpoint of the 10 Point Podcast, and we have a new quiz master. Over to Chris for the 10 Point Podcast quiz.
Yeah, this will be interesting since producer's already told you half the answers.
Hey boy.
So you can pick who's going to go first then, so there's no cheating. So I can't change my questions for whether Andy was.
I thought it was-
Andy
is it-
goes first.
Okay, I'll go.
Andy goes first.
Alphabetical order, why not?
Real easy.
I suck
So,
at quizzes,
nice
by the
easy
way.
one.
This is why I write quizzes.
Hmm?
I said I suck at quizzes. This is why I write quizzes, but we'll see. Give you a
Well,
chance.
let's see. Nice easy one for you. Who's the first person to speak in the film? I want the name.
Ryan Reynolds, Hannibal
What's his
King.
character name? That'll do. Bruce, where was Dracula found?
Oh, where was he found? The cradle of civilization in Syria.
I'll give you that.
There we
Oh,
go.
you bastard.
Are you keeping score, Chris? Because Andy famously
I am,
couldn't
yeah.
keep score, right? You can- I won't
Okay,
write anything
Andy,
down now.
you don't need to do a buzzer since I'm asking you separately. What does Blade Trinity have that no previous Blade movie had?
A dog
mean, that's
with
an
vampire
open
teeth.
question.
I missed
Wait, I'll keep listing, right? A dog with vampire teeth, Dracula dildo,
I'm looking for something more
Count-
specific. Count
Count Chocula. What do you mean? This is like the most vague question in the fucking world here. Right,
Exactly. So you had
right, okay, I'm gonna go for-
soundtrack than the first two films.
I'm going for vampire dildo. Definitely not one of them in the previous two films.
It was actually the first Blade to use the Marvel opening scene of the comic flipbook.
Okay, right.
Or
Again,
they definitely didn't have a vampire dildo. So
Ryan Reynolds. That's
That
why
we
I
know
asked
of.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah, Jessica Biel.
Anyway, chap, you respect the authority.
that.
So, Bruce,
Uh-huh.
what? This is another quite easy one actually. What is Whistler's daughter's name?
Abigail or just Abby?
That'll do. Andy, Bruce has already said this, but
Here we're gonna get fucked.
according to Blade, how many people has he killed?
Oh.
1,260 something.
Oh.
61.
1,182.
Ah, 82.
I have it written down. That's why you should pass it over.
Bruce, according to Hannibal King, how were the Night Stalkers' operation funded?
Because he dates a lot of older men.
There we go. Andrew, what alternate name were the Night Stalkers considering?
Care Bears.
Yep.
But it was taken.
Bruce, name 3 of the 4 items the goth girl listed in the shop.
Oh. She listed.
She listed,
Oh,
not the things you picked up or looked
Yeah,
at.
that's difficult. Well, there was the dildo.
Yes.
What else did she list? Oh, bugger. Farting vampire.
That was her favourite.
Oh, I'm struggling now. I don't know. Count Chocula was there, but yeah, I'm
I'll
struggling.
pass it over. I'll pass this one over.
What else did she list? I can't remember. I want to say a choker thing, but that was what she was wearing, like a choker necklace. Nah.
Okay, it was lunchboxes, bobbleheads, keychains, and vibrator.
Gah. Classic.
Bobbleheads I should have
This is
got.
technically Andrew now. So, what actor is on the TV while Hannibal is recovering in the hospital bed thing?
William Shatner.
Oh, I knew that one.
For an extra point, can you name the actress?
Nah.
I could name the film.
I had to Google who it was. Yeah, I had to Google that as well. And last one.
Yep.
That's right.
Is this to win it?
wrestling
Is
move
this
does
to
Triple
draw?
H-
Sorry, where are we in the quiz? If this is the last question,
This
can I win?
is to win it.
Oh,
What?
right, okay.
If it's a tie, by the way, then it's a tie. And at the end of the season, we'll do a. If it's still a tie, we'll do
Right,
a
okay.
thingamabig.
He has not got enough questions, is what has happened here.
Yeah, exactly. And what wrestling move does Triple H perform in Hannibal King?
It's like a running power slam, is what I would call it. I don't know if that's the right
Correct.
word or not. There we go, running power slam.
There you
So
go.
what-
4-3.
4-3. I'll win. Hey!
Bullshit.
Respect my authority.
I would say Andy had a hard question was remembering a number, but then I also had to remember 3
Yeah.
things. So I think, yeah.
I also had an impossible fucking question. I answered it right.
Easy question. What was it in the film?
Yeah, but he didn't give me the right fucking answer, the prick.
This is how many. That's exactly what you did to me more than once last season. So there you go. A bit of revenge. I'll make it more fair next time.
Victory once
Also,
again.
Bruce could have got that one. That's why
Yeah.
I got used to pick who got the question.
Oh, bullshit. You could
And it
just
would
pick
be
any
Victor
number
Andy
order you wanted.
that he lost.
No, I've got it on the list here. There you go. So Bruce
Thank you,
won
Chris.
4-3.
Thank you, Chris. Brilliant. Keep them coming. Onwards and upwards. Point number 6 on the 10-point podcast is our movies within movies. Chris made a bit of a suggestion to something in the quiz there, so I'll run through what I normally do, which is the parodies, references, copies, everything you want to do, other films that can be seen within this film. We have Fantastic Four, which is on what do you call them? Patton Oswalt's T-shirt. He had the Fantastic Four logo. A Summer Place. The theme from A Summer Place was playing very gently in the lobby as they ran through at one point before fighting. Both Dracula and Bram Stoker's Dracula were referenced one way or another. Incubus was the film that Ryan Reynolds was watching in a foreign language with subtitles for some reason. I'm not sure why, because I'm not sure where were they meant to be. It doesn't get ever said where this film was taking place at any point.
I'm
But
sure it's in America still. Somewhere.
Right.
I
I
reckon
know
Vancouver.
yeah, I've reckoned Vancouver as well, but yeah, it didn't actually say where. The Matrix at various fight scenes and bits was very Matrixy. The Emerald City of Oz was the story that was being read, but it is also a film. Alien and Predator, as we discussed previously, is what that serum does to the dogs in this film, or kind of Alien/Predator. And then the fight with samurai swords, and around this time, that has to be inspired by Kill Bill one way or another, because that was where they brought the samurai swords back into popular culture again in the early 2000s, so I'm going for that. That's my movies within movies. Let's throw over to Chris to see what Chris has up his sleeve for movies within movies for season 3.
Well, I've got like an actual movies and movies as well before Andrew just blows it out of the water like he always does. It's not a great one, but Whistler pumped Hawkeye's wife, and the result daughter is Abby because she was born out of wedlock. Hawkeye didn't know this and raised her as his own, which is why she's great with a bow and has all the random arrows, heads and stuff. There you go.
Eloquently put, I would say.
Smooth.
But yeah, have you got your particular thing that you're going to give for us this week?
Well, yeah, since I'm now the keeper of the TPP universe, Wesley Snipes and Chris Christopherson are now our most watched actors, obviously because of the 3 Blade films.
Of course, that's 3 seasons.
And since we've watched all 3 of them, this is a bit random, but we've done our best and worst parts. What image now jumps into your head when you think about Blade?
Oh.
Like, I'll go first, because the thing that's synonymous with Blade for me is the blood rave.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which film it is, it's always the blood rave.
That really shit puffer jacket stuck with me through all 3.
The fact that the Blood Rave one way or another won like 3 pointy awards in season 1, it sticks with me. But like, I think that there'll be bits in this film that might rival it eventually. But yeah, I think it'll be the beginning of that.
To be fair, actually, my other one is actually it should have been a low point, but I'll mention it now. The Coochie Coo. Every time. That stuck with me massively. Just always, that's my lasting memory of Blade, just Coochie Coo.
I feel like he probably was like, I've said Coochie Coo. If you don't put it in the film, I'm not coming to film any more scenes.
There's always at least one cheesy point. I can't remember what it is in the second one, but the first one was his little...
Yeah.
His little Power Ranger...
Yeah,
Power
that was the
Fist.
first one.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Okay, Andy, have you got a movie within movie for us? Your
I'm
speciality.
going to start the bar low in this one, and then I'm going to gradually get them better. So this one's a nice, easy one. So Hannibal King, once a vampire, semi-immortal, gets cured. However, his face is plastered everywhere, so he has to then go into underground, where he decides to go and join a secret military faction, and goes by the code name of Deadpool. And then we all know where that stems from there. So starting low, and I'm going to build up, and it's going to be spectacular by the end of this.
It's going to get better as we go on.
Give Chris a chance.
An idea that I floated at one point when I was doing the Tucker and Dale episode was that putting Chris and Andy in the leading roles made me enjoy the film much better. It's something I suggested that Chris's excited reaction there, he may have come up with something. So I'll throw over Chris. Chris, how would you see this film in a different light? If you've got any suggestions of how you'd like to see it?
Fairly obvious. I think it'd be funny if you said Andrew as Blade.
You think so? You think
like
Andy...
just like his
just call it
anger and and just flipping about.
And stand up with a rage boner.
Yeah, a real what you would call rager, I would say. Yes. So does that mean
I've been Whistler, I just die all the time.
I've got to say, so is one of us Jessica Biel and one of us Ryan Reynolds here, or are you taking as the senior member? I think I'd probably have to be Whistler. I don't know. I've got a bad leg for the last few while, so maybe I am Whistler. Then Chris can be Ryan Reynolds if he wants.
Fuck, I wish.
But yeah, movies are the movies. A lot covered there. A lot of ideas if Hollywood is listening. Onwards. Point number 7, 10-point podcast. Riddle me this, Andy. I don't know what point 7 is anymore, so why don't you enlighten us?
Right, so Riddle Me This is fucked off because Chris is not doing it anymore. He's
Change the name then.
He's taking the quiz. So this week is not Riddle Me This, it's Would You Rather.
Oh, no.
So it's a game of Would You Rather. They're not like the route of Would You Rathers. I'm not going to go down that route. I'm not going to be like, would you rather fangs in your mouth or fangs in your vagina? It's not going to go that like depraved.
Mouth.
Whatever. So my question is, would you rather, it's nice and simple, be a familiar or be an actual vampire?
Be an actual vampire, easy.
I'd have to go vampire. Yeah, I wouldn't want someone else like feeding off of me for the rest of my time.
Sucking you off.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, I feel like familiars are they're just a normal human, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's like you literally have that until you die, and they just move on to someone else. Whereas if he's a vampire, you can do all your vampire things. But then I would say you would get to come out in the daytime, but I don't really go outside very much anyway.
Well, you can. You just get wrapped up.
Yeah, you just go out in your flight suits and stuff.
Just walk about with a massive like helmet and stuff on, and be like, all right.
I mean, Triple H can wear his helmet and stuff like that, and you still know it's Triple H. Like that was quite at the start. See, I would kind of probably lean towards the vampire route, especially knowing how easy it is to not be a vampire afterwards. So become a vampire, stay immortal for X amount of time. They're like, actually, this is a good time to be alive. I want to go out and then just get the cure and then just carry on. And then, actually, you've lived 5-10 years, you've got a little bit older, become a vampire again, because it seems like it's that easy in Blade's universe.
Yeah, definitely. You can just bounce back and forwards if you felt like it. Yeah.
So yeah,
I
nice
also use
simple.
a power for good. Like, as well, if somebody pissed me off, like, you're gonna get a bite in the neck, you dick.
Why would you want to bite him in the neck and make him a vampire? Because then you'll be around for longer.
No, you just suck it out.
Oh, suck him right off.
Suck them dry.
There we go. That was Would You Rather. So we apparently all would rather be vampires.
I think we'd all rather be vampires than fed upon by a vampire. Yes. Point 8 on the podcast is the legendary Pointy Awards nominations. We've got a long way to go until the next Pointy Awards. The previous edition was very successful by all accounts. So, who and what and why and who and where and when and all that's getting nominated this year. Anyone want to go first?
I'll go first. I've got some.
Right, there you go. Andy's dying to go first.
Right. So we're going to keep this as an ongoing thing. I'm going to remember this award now. So the Michael Pena Award for best storytelling is Ryan Reynolds telling the story of like the kind of start and in the middle bit when he did the middle section as well. So he kind of had two.
That as well.
He had two of them. Best entrance, Ryan Reynolds, just by appearing on screen by jumping through a pane of glass.
It's gonna be very Ryan Reynolds heavy.
Yeah,
I think so.
Best exit, Blade jumping out of the 20th story of building to land right next to them unharmed with his sword. So that's best exit.
That was that's the point where I was like, this is a different Blade to what we've seen in the other ones. Like he's a proper superhero now, I think, and that was the one I was like, yeah.
Even did a superhero landing.
If coupled with the way Wesley Snipes was playing it, I was like, yeah, there's something different about this one, and yeah, I like the way it's going, yeah.
And just best actor in this is Ryan Reynolds, by being Ryan Reynolds and being able to swear that elegantly and not be offended. Like, I think he's the only person that could use the word thunder cunt and get away with it quite easily and stuff like that, and slag people off with like having teeth in their vagina and shit like that. So Ryan Reynolds,
a good little segue into mine, because that was my best line in the whole movie. Juggling thunder cunt.
It's certainly something, isn't it? It lands with a bit of gravity behind it. Yeah.
I've gone for Ryan Reynolds as best. Were you finished, Andy? Sorry.
Aye.
Yeah. I've gone for Ryan Reynolds as best supporting actor, but I mean, because he wasn't the main star of the film.
No, I'm putting straight in main star. Ryan Reynolds.
He did steal every single scene he was in. He was just...
He had comfortably more lines than Blade did. I don't know about screen time, but he definitely said more than Blade did. So there is some argument to be said that he was the lead actor, yeah.
I'm going to nominate Dracula for worst bad guy, because he was just a bit shit.
Oh!
He was supposed to be this big bad, he got absolutely owned.
I definitely preferred the kind of the minion baddies. They were a bit more. I preferred them as bad guys than.
In one part, he seemed to be Danica's little bitch. She was like doing the talking, and she was stamping in her feet, and he was following orders.
In the unrated version, they get it on.
Ah, fucking I've seen that one.
Right, so you've got to go back and watch that. It's just a random scene being put in the unrated version for no reason at all, that she gets sucked off by him for no apparent reason.
Before I forget to mention, Andy, we discussed this off podcast. There's that random cut that we were talking about in
Yeah.
the unrated version, where it's quite near the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's
it's like James
the
Remar
police-
and that are kind of like doing stuff, and then he goes to say something, gets halfway through a word, and it cuts, and then they're just walking away.
Yeah, it's like it's going to say Blade's running down the alleyway, goes blip, and it just cuts to a different scene altogether, or the same scene from a different angle. They're just watching him doing it. It's like they missed the button on the oh shit, I missed it, and then tried to miss the cut. So yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why I
Oh.
had to keep that bit in the
Have to go back and watch
unrated
that.
version.
That reminds me, I've got another nomination. It's actually two nominations for the same category here. Underused actors in a film. And I'm actually going to put James Remar in it because he's actually fairly good in things, and it's like, why was he there as an FBI agent for no reason at all? But then the other
Oh, is that
massive...
Hugo Posh? From The Girl Next Door.
I don't know, Chris.
Maybe.
He's raiding for Mortal Kombat 2.
Yes. Yeah, that's him.
Yes.
He's
So
a
him.
porn star in The Girl Next Door.
Oh, yeah, he is. I know, yeah, he is. I've got him with you. But anyway, so him for underused actor. And then the other underused actor who I like a lot is Christopher Heidel, who is the guy that
Ah, yes.
gives them the plan from the blind woman because it gets sent to him, who, like, he's amazing in Stargate and stuff like that, and it's just, he's got this one tiny little scene for no reason at all.
Supernatural is the one that he's like
Yeah.
Azazel or something like that, and he's brilliant.
He's not Azazel. Ah, he is Azazel. Yeah, he's the yellow eye demon. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's also in Twilight Saga.
Get the mention in.
But yeah, I'm
what
adding
was
that one
my
in.
next one? Oh yeah, just to annoy Andy, I'm going to nominate Blade's bomber jacket for best costume
Bullshit.
He looks way
because it
cooler.
was pretty badass.
He was
Oh,
way
no.
cooler in this
His
one. Yeah.
his when he's black and red is amazing, but when he's just randomly again takes his thing off and he's just got that fucking bomber jacket on. It's like, why?
I thought that was pretty good. I don't know what the issue is with this.
I know, I
This-
quite liked it in this one. It seemed more noticeable in this one. He seemed a lot more badass with it on.
Yeah.
Worst track, because like normally there's at least one decent song that's there was the Crystal Meth one, but the rest of them are just shit.
Yeah.
What's my last one? Oh, worst plan is listen to music when you're out hunting and kicking ass. Like,
That's
how are you
a
supposed to
bad
hear
plan.
somebody creeping up behind you?
Yep, totally. That was another comment I got from beside me on the sofa. It's like, why should she listen to music? She won't hear the bad guys coming. It was what I got.
Also, where did she get her earphones? Because even doing like a little jog for me, might not fall out. Her, she was doing spinning kicks and flips and everything, and they're still glued into her ears. So there you go.
It did make me pine for what she was listening to because she was probably listening to better music than the soundtrack.
Yeah.
on the-
That's why I should
it's
put them
like,
in.
I bet her. Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't listen to this bloody racket.
That was my last one.
I'll go completely against what I was talking about. I will nominate for best song. That song I was mentioning was in the shop, which was the Venus and Furs remix of Fatal. That was when him walking the Earth vampire shop. That's my first nominee. I'm going to leave that one till last. Best fight. Blade and Abigail stormed the vampires building. I thought the whole them working their way up to the top, exploding everybody as they went. I'm going for that as best fight. It's more of an action scene, but they were fighting the entire time. Andy's on Michael Pena, so I'm agreeing. I've got best actor, Wesley Snipes. I mean, it's the best Snipes I've seen. I'll submit to the Ryan Reynolds having more like.
I'll stop you there. I'm going to insert another fun fact. So back when Blade did not Blade, Wesley Snipes, that's the guy's name, did Demolition Man, because obviously Wesley Snipes is a natural martial artist and that he does a lot of his own stunts. He got told to stop punching as fast in Demolition Man because the camera couldn't pick up his movements. He got told the same thing in this film as well, and you can very much see it. Because if you go back and watch it now, he is very slow because apparently he was pissed off and decided, if you want me to go slow, I'll go stupidly slow, and that's exactly what he does. So you'll see the stuntmen really delaying, and he's just like calling it in really slowly.
There were a couple that missed by yards in some of the fights. There was like people were throwing punches and it was just like a massive gap in between.
But yeah, apparently you never tell Wesley Snipes to just slow down because now he takes a piss.
Still less hilarious than the dance fighting from Blade 2. I'll put that in there. I've gone for worst cops, the FBI agent guys. They were just terrible. Like they're just. You said James Remar this and that and the other. I thought he was terrible in this. Like he's been underused, but I thought he was bad as well. But yeah, they were rubbish, the two of them.
They were
they had,
unnecessary. You didn't even need the cops
Nah.
at one
yeah,
point.
absolutely, yeah. I'm surprised they were in the cut version. They still made it into that because you could have done with it totally. Worst father figure, something I mentioned last season, Whistler. The entire pretty much story with him and his daughter. Like, he pretty much ignores her for the first however many years of her life, and then she comes into his life. I want to go killing vampires. He's like, sure, yeah, I'll trust you to kill vampires. That's not a great idea. I suppose it worked out in the long run, but he ended up dead. Worst actress, I've gone for Jessica Biel. I thought most of the lines she delivered in the film were pretty wooden. I thought she was pretty bad at the acting part of things.
Oh, it was that one setup scene. It's like, oh, I can't shoot around corners. I can.
I like the jumping in.
I know.
can.
That's like,
Yeah.
fucking-
And then my last one, because I felt he was the star of every scene he was in, I've nominated for Best Supporting Actor Triple H. What a guy. I thought he was amazing. I thought he was always funny when he's meant to be funny. I thought he was campy and comedy, like bad guy when he's supposed to be. I thought he was a good fight. Another good fight. We like fights on here. And he was definitely looked scary enough at times. But yeah, I think he's worth a mention. I don't think he was bad. I thought he was good fun. He's my last nominee. And I think we've all nominated now, haven't we? I think that's everyone.
Yeah.
A good collection there. On to point 9. Point 9 is the moral of the story, what we thought the lessons learned from Blade Trinity are. Chris, why don't you lead us off with your moral of the story?
Nice and simple. Vampires are a pain in the neck.
Hooray.
Unless you've used that before in a previous podcast, then not.
I
Yeah.
hope not. 'Cause I thought it was quite a good one.
It's good if it's not already good. Andy, what's your moral of the story?
It's not always good to get sucked off.
And from that, I've decided to try and expand my advice a little bit here. So I've gone a bit artsy with my moral of the story. Hopefully this trend continues, but I've done my moral of the story in the form of a haiku. So, if you are half man, half vampire, you can survive the deadly virus. There we go. Thank you very much.
It's has
I feel
COVID related as well. Nice.
I would say that's as poignant in today's age as ever. So take that message with you. As far as I'm aware, that is how a haiku goes. So there you go. That was my moral story. And I'm also now doubting it because I'm not actually sure what the end of the film was, and I haven't watched it. But carry on. Point 10 of the 10-point podcast is the 10-point rating. This is where we rate the film out of 10. Tradition says who selected goes first. So Andy, who's the one that selected, tell us why you rated what you have in fact rated Blade Trinity.
Right, so this is a hard one because this Blade's, it's not like the other Blades. They add more people into it. Sometimes it makes it better, sometimes it makes it shit. Wesley Snipes was on drugs like throughout it. Sometimes that made it good, sometimes that made it bad. It's really hard to tell. I do like the action in this film, but then there's just a long, boring bit, and you don't need to see Wesley Snipes' big rager for no apparent reason. However, this film gets an 8 from me. It's actually one of my favourite Blade films for action, and overall it works better as a Blade film. And then I'm a massive fan of the TV series, and this one sets up the TV series perfectly.
Oh, you have to watch that.
Hey. Okay, since Chris has seen it, well, I've got Chris penciled in to be next, so what's your rating?
It's fine. Personally, I feel like Blade Trinity is the weaker of the 3 Blades. It's not by much though. I mean, I'd still give it a 5. It just doesn't hit the same way as Blade 1 and Blade 2 did for some reason. But I still like it. I still have to go back and watch it again.
Cool.
Sure.
Me to go. I'd never seen it before, so this is my first ever viewing of it, and my first 2 ever viewings. So
And you've got to go and watch a bit of it again to get the ending. Bear that in mind.
I had to go find out. So before even watching the ending of the film, I think it's my favourite Blade film. I think of the 3, I'm the opposite of Chris. I think I like this one the best. What I was trying to avoid saying earlier on was I think I'll definitely return to this one more regularly because I think there's better
That's exactly
bits in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly why I'm with it.
And a lot of good action and a lot of the sweary one-liners. The Ryan Reynolds brings something that was missing. It's the sort of thing that Scud tried to be in Blade 2 but wasn't, I think, and Ryan Reynolds actually nails down and also then doesn't like turn on them.
Oh wait there, before you give your score, there's time for another fun fact.
Oh, yeah. It means I can do some math.
Colin Farrell was meant to be Ryan Reynolds, but Ryan Reynolds got the part. There you go. Fun fact.
I would have liked to say it was Colin Farrell.
No.
Yeah, I think it's working for the better, I'd said. Okay. then my final score is 7, the exact same as what I gave Blade 1 and Blade 2, because I don't think it's quite an 8. Andy's given it an 8, I don't think it's quite an 8. It does mean that the official 10-point podcast rating for Blade Trinity is also a 7. We have given it a 7, and I think that ties with the previous 2 Blades. Like, we, as a podcast, have rated all 3 of them exactly the same. So it's a 7 out of 10 for the Blade trilogy. I think not too bad. And as we know how the pointies went, starting with a 7, that means it could be in a chance of winning best film at the pointies at the end of the season. But yeah, Blade Trinity, a good start to the season, and it is me to pick next. So, quite excited. And I know one of the other 2 lads is going to be excited, as we know, for those of you who watched the what was it called? The Big Fat Movie Quiz of the last 10 years. This film came up in a big way, so I know one of you guys really likes it. 2012 is the year.
Oh God!
This film came out.
His face is perking up.
It stars somebody we've covered before, but not in great detail, and somebody, the other main star, we have not covered before. It's an action comedy crime film. It's 21 Jump Pilots. 21 Jump Street is what we're going for.
Oh, that was good.
Chris mentioned it on the pointies on the quiz in a big crunch way that turned the tide of the quiz in my favour.
And he called it 21 Jump Pilots. Well, he got the... Was it 21
Pilots
Pilots mixed into that film?
21 Pilots.
Yes, he mixed it together with the 21 Jump Street. And I thought, I've only seen that film once. I quite liked it. I'm going to watch it again.
Which version?
We're not actually watching... which version? Are you going to go for the Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum version?
That's the 2012 one, yes.
Right,
version came out.
Oh, yeah, that's sorry. I thought you said 2012.
The only issue is, I have this already on my soundboard, but it's from the second film, so I'm just going to play it anyway.
Ass, titties, ass and titties. Ass, titties, titties, ass and titties.
There we go.
So yeah, I've actually never seen 22 Jump Street, so like hopefully
I've just seen all the memes of "My name is Jeff." That's the only thing I've seen.
Oh my God, you both have just... It's all right. Well, at least you have to go to the sequel now. You have to watch 22 Jump Street straight after this.
I will watch 22 Jump Street as well. Yeah, but next week on the 10 Point Podcast, it's a different number. 21 Jump Street will be next week's selection. Please watch it with us. I believe Amazon Prime in the UK has it, just like Blade. So I'll be watching it on there. So watch along, and we'll speak to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.